All right, we are live. Wow, that it's been a while since I've streamed, but I had to jump through a whole bunch of hoops in order to get this actually working. But I mean, it wouldn't be a Kyle Bull YouTube stream without me being fashionably late. So I think you guys were pretty much all expecting that, unless you're new here. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. Welcome to just a little impromptu 5-year stream that I decided to put up because I didn't really have anything else ready for today. The 5-year anniversary of the channel was actually a couple days ago, and I made a post on my social media accounts, but kind of didn't really put much into it. A lot of life changes recently that have kind of been taking my time away from the channel. You guys have probably noticed that I haven't posted much in the last few weeks. But I've been making a lot of like little posts on social media and stuff with guitars and amps, and my bands have been playing shows, and my bands have been recording, and I've been recording people here in the studio. So I've still been plenty busy with all the stuff that I love to do. So a lot of you guys still show me tons of love and tons of support on the social media channels, even though I'm not posting on YouTube as much at the moment. So for all of you guys who have been supporting me through that stuff, I really appreciate it, man. I've been having a lot of fun lately, kind of getting back into just playing for the sake of playing, which is something that I haven't really done a whole lot for the last couple of years because the channel really does kind of make that tough with all the work that goes into the content creation and stuff. But been having a lot of fun. So let's say hi to a couple people. We've got the Mog, who I actually don't recognize the Mog. I think you might be fairly new here, so welcome. Tim Stalkers, you've been I hope I'm saying that right. Stalkers, Stokers. What is it? Let me know. Stalkers sounds kind of creepy, but I like it. Barry, I know Barry's been here for forever. He says congrats. Huge thank you, Barry. Uh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Tosfin, what's up? Dude, I'm running into a wall already. We got congrats on the 5 years. We got the homie, the other John Brown, down in the chat. Told this story many times before on the channel, but John Brown is pretty much the reason that I started a YouTube channel in the first place. So I came across one of his posts where he was using a little interface that he hooked up to his cell phone so that you didn't have to sync audio and video and you could just record with like a microphone straight to your cell phone. This was back in 2020 before that stuff was as common as it is now. So yeah, I always give John a huge credit because that was kind of the last little thing that I needed to finally say, all right, let's start making some videos. So shout out to John. Make sure you follow John's channel. He is the speaker Voldemort of YouTube. Jamie Slays, what's up, buddy? Jamie Slays was another early creator that basically like supported me right off the bat. He found me, I think, when I had less than 1,000 subscribers and just started chatting me up, started hooking me up with companies, and it was really nice to get somebody who was established in the industry to notice me and basically say, "Hey, what you're doing is really cool. Keep going with it." So huge shout out to Jamie. I really appreciate you, man. Jamie's been killing it over the last couple of years. You want to talk about a channel that's grown like crazy? Jamie's channel has exploded over the last couple of years. So the man is doing something right. Hell of a player. Oh, you didn't have to send a super chat, my guy. Thank you. I appreciate it, dude. Appreciate the support since the beginning, man. O Riff says, been watching for a while. Keep it up. I appreciate you, man. There will definitely be more riffs and stuff like that coming here in the near future. Other John Brown says, for some reason, the thought of syncing audio and video is scary to me. Little did I know it takes 2 clicks. Dude, straight up. Seriously, that was the main reason that I did not start a channel for probably 2 to 3 years. Like my collection really started to grow around 2017, 2018. And that was always the reason that I didn't want to post like clips or videos. If you go way back on my channel, you'll see I just threw up a couple of random like video clips of me just playing through an amplifier. The video name was probably something like, Mesa Stiletto was one of the ones that has something like 20,000 views or something. So, I was always interested in posting clips for people, but I just didn't really know how to do it properly. So it is funny that was my main hangup. And believe it or not, I've run into a lot of people who have that very same hangup. So we're not alone, John. We're not alone. Um, Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you, my dude. I appreciate you. Jamie legit slays, says John. So yeah, man. So we got like 25 people in here. That's enough to start kind of talking about some stuff, I think. So some of you, if you guys do follow my social media accounts, I'm really active on there these days. Um, I try not to like scroll Facebook and Instagram too much because I find it's just it's either a lot of brain rot or it's a lot of divisive stuff. So I have really kind of actively been trying to post just like amp pictures or, you know, amp clips or guitar clips, or I've been drumming a lot more lately, so I've been posting a lot of drumming clips. I actually, if you guys want to follow, I have a drum Instagram that I'm going to start getting a lot more active on there as well, where I'm kind of just doing like playthroughs of like old hardcore songs and stuff like that, because I feel like hardcore just doesn't really get the love that it deserves in the social media realm, I guess. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe how many people I have come onto my videos that recognize some of the hardcore riffs, and they're like, "Dude, it's so cool to see another guy on YouTube that plays hardcore or is into hardcore at all." So, how many times can I say hardcore in the span of 30 seconds? Let's go ahead and count. Take a drink every time I do. You'll be drunk in about 2 minutes. But yeah, man, I love hardcore. I've been a hardcore kid since probably 2003. It's been a big part of my life. So like as soon as I started the YouTube channel, I knew that I really wanted to kind of like incorporate some hardcore riffs and bands and stuff like that in the content, pretty much any way that I could. So that's always been a big thing for me. But but yeah, so long story short, where I was going with that is my bands have been playing more often, and I've kind of just finally gotten back into listening to like, newer hardcore bands. I hadn't really listened to a lot of new music in general over the past few years. I kind of went through this weird phase where I just didn't want to listen to music. I was trying so hard to learn and to grow the channel and to grow my skill set and stuff like that, that I was constantly watching content that was centered around how can I learn to be, a better presenter on YouTube? How can I learn to make my videos look better? How can I learn to make my videos more engaging? So I was putting a lot of effort into that, and I think it paid off, honestly. I think it did pay off because even if you look at my videos from like a year and a half ago, they're pretty different than the ones that I've posted recently. Some of you may think that that's for better. Some of you may think that's, for worse. There's a whole group of people out there that loves to call me a sellout, and dude, you can say whatever you want. Like, I have not changed. The content style has changed a little bit, but me as a person, I do the same stuff. I play the same riffs, and I love playing through amps. I love testing new gear. Like, that stuff is so much fun to me, and the fact that I get to kind of do it as a living is super sick in my personal opinion. So I don't take that for granted, and I basically just try to keep the channel uh more almost as like a hangout than as like, I never call my videos reviews. I call them playthroughs, and that's because I'm just playing through something. I'm just playing, and I'm giving you guys my thoughts as they happen. And my content's kind of always been like that, and it's going to stay like that because that's how I like to do things. And also, I'm biased. If anybody tries to tell you they're not biased, they're full of shit. Like, of course, I have, you guys are constantly telling me I have a tone that I dial in for everything. Like, every amp, I make it sound the same. I'm playing through the same speaker cabinet for almost every playthrough video like that. So, of course, things are going to sound similar. But the way that I play, the way that I dial things, like naturally, I feel like people don't put enough thought into the fact that they probably make every amp sound the same too, unless they're playing all sorts of different styles. There's some guitar virtuoso or something, but I've come to find that that's not really the case for most people. Most people are just searching a particular tone for a particular style. Their play and their hands has a lot to do with their tone. So, like, the people that get all bent out of shape about someone like me or Ola or Fluff kind of making every amp sound similar, that's kind of just the nature of being a single guitar player demonstrating something. Like, you're not really ever going to stray too far away from your tone. So, that was a whole rant. I went off on a whole rant right there. Orpheus says you need to check out Foreign Hands. I have never heard of Foreign Hands, so I will definitely check them out. I'm assuming that that's a newer hardcore band. Luke Fink says it's hilarious when you're real and people make fun of yourself like a real person, never too serious. Yeah, man. Like, some people take themselves so seriously, dude. It's insane. I'm not gonna name a forum. There's a forum that I used to love to post on, and now I've just backed away from it just because they like there's like a bunch of people in that forum that just have a weird hate boner for YouTubers. Like they always kind of did. A lot of these dudes would talk a lot of like real disgusting shit on people like Pete Thorne, like talking about YouTubers' appearance and stuff like that, like just real low blow type of stuff. And they've just had this weird obsessive hate boner over YouTubers for as long as I can remember. But the amount of people that kind of hopped on that train in that forum is insane. Like every time I sign in, there's a front page thread of them just hating on YouTubers. It's like why do these things take up so much, space in your brain? I don't understand that at all. I I've always loved YouTube content when it comes to guitar. And of course, people are going to naturally gravitate towards certain channels and stuff. You're going to find somebody who just vibes with you more than somebody else. And that's natural. We have so many different personality types. There's different players. There's just different things that you're looking to get out of a demo. So naturally, you are going to vibe with some people more than others. And I just always thought it was really interesting why some people just hate YouTubers. Like it burns them up that there's somebody out there making videos on YouTube for guitar equipment and getting paid for it. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting world that we live in. But yeah, man. So like I just kind of backed away from that for a while because I'm like, all right, well, I thought that I was here to talk about gear, but apparently we're here to talk about YouTubers' hair or what's wrong with their physical appearance. So uh but yeah, it's silly stuff like that. So you guys may have noticed that like for a while I wasn't as active in the Facebook guitar gear groups and stuff, and that was a big part of it. I just half the time I don't even like signing into Facebook anymore because as soon as I sign in, I'm just blasted with brain rot or blasted with, with hateful stuff, not even towards me, just people just being fucking terrible in the comment section of everything. And I'm just not into that, man. I'm a positive person. I definitely am into like PMA, like positive mental attitude. I feel like you kind of manifest what you want around you. So like really negative people who are always negative about stuff, they kind of manifest that negativity in their life. Whereas me, I'm a pretty positive person. And frankly, my life is way crazier, cooler than I ever thought that it would be. And the stuff that I get to do is frankly still amazing to me every day. I'm so thankful for all the opportunities that I have. I'm thankful for you guys for all the support that you give me. So but I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in almost like self-fulfilling prophecy type thinking. Like if you are constantly thinking that everything you do is terrible and there's no reason for you to even try, then you're probably not going to get very far with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. But if you go at something and think, hey, well, maybe I suck, but I'm just going to do it because I love it. I'm going to do it with passion. I'm going to do it with fun. More than likely, it's going to take you somewhere. So just try to keep that stuff in mind. I sound like a terrible self-help guru right now. So I'm assuming this $5 from I'm Mortem Jack is for my new online course in positive mental thinking. He says, your shiz is great. I love it. I have watched a fat ton of your content. Thanks for all the hard work, dude. Dude, thank you. I'm glad that you guys get something out of the content. Had a lot of people message me recently just thanking me for the content and for what I do with the channel. I think that's really cool, man. I'm always happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear that the content helps you, that it resonates and stuff. So like that actually genuinely means a lot. So I appreciate you, dude. Orphe says, for real, I'd be way more interested to see how a heavy music person plays their favorite music on a Tweed Deluxe or something than just playing what they're supposed to play. I always find it dishonest when people play only certain genres on certain gear. I don't feel like you're meaning that as like an attack or something, but I mean that's what I do. So I'm a little confused by that. That's literally exactly what I do. But yeah, I mean, maybe try to expand a little bit because I don't necessarily understand what you're trying to say. Gauntlet. Eddie Van Halen could have played a cheapo amp, still sound like Eddie versus high-end gear. I believe sound is more about the player than the gear. You are 100% right, man. And it's not just they're plugging in and they play and it sounds just like them, though that is a big part of it, but it's how they dial things. Like how you dial an amp has a lot to do with your sound. How you play has more to do with your sound for sure. But like if you plug into 3 different high gain amplifiers, chances are if you're playing them through the same cab, you're going to dial them very similar and they're all going to come out sounding like you. So you're definitely right on that front. Orpheus says, let's make it heavy YouTube series when you take non-metal hardcore gear and make it the most metal hardcore you can. I mean, that's pretty much Ola's Will It Chug. That's pretty much what he does. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a time that stuff would have done really well. And honestly, when I first started thinking about like content and the things that I wanted to do on this channel, that was definitely something that was like at the forefront of what I wanted to do, because I really enjoyed taking kind of goofier gear, or especially like lower cost gear, and just getting like sick metal tones out of it, just because that was what I did. I play, metal and hardcore. My bands play hardcore. I play heavy music. So I was always interested in taking like a cheap $200 guitar and just making it rip. But it kind of turns out that like most gear these days is good, even in stock form. Like as long as you know how to set something up to your liking and intonate it and stuff, there are very few guitars that are going to sound bad. If you're playing a guitar amp through a decent speaker and a decent cabinet, if you know how to dial things, you're probably going to be able to make it sound good. So, I mean, I think that people have really come to realize that over the past few years. So, therefore, making the, Glenn Fricker, can an SG do metal type video feel like that's just stuff that would have worked a long time ago. And now everybody just kind of realizes that, it's more of the skill of the person trying to dial something in than it is the gear itself. High Wind Amplification says, congrats on 5 years of making it happen, bud. Thank you very much, dude. High Wind and I worked together, I want to say, just a few months into my channel. I was kind of already connected in the gear circles online when I started the channel anyways, just because I had been such a gear addict, a gear flipper, a gear whore, whatever you want to call it. So like I kind of feel like that was one of the reasons why the channel worked the way that it did right when I started. But yeah, I mean, we were already familiar with each other when I started the channel. So I did end up working with a lot of companies pretty early on in my journey. Walrus says, are you going to review the Friedman Jose playthrough video? If I can find one, yeah. I actually signed up on the list and I got an email for one, but I honestly I was like, I don't want to buy this amp brand new. Sorry, Dave. Dave and I have discussed some mods and some stuff. We've talked at Sweetwater and stuff, so we're cool. But like, I just don't ever buy any new amps, and I really wanted to get one of the Jose's, but again, I just didn't want to be into it for the new price, just so I could make a video and probably eventually move it on. You know what I mean? Like, as you guys can see, there's a ton of gear behind me. I keep way more gear than I will ever need, but I still try to be conscientious about the things that I buy, and I try not to just pick up everything that I see to try to make videos for it, just because that's a losing financial proposition. So when I try to pick stuff up, I try to make sure that I get it for a good deal. That's the way that I operate. So, Nikolai, I'm assuming that's Nikolai. I found your channel about 5 years ago when I was looking for a new amp is probably what that's supposed to say. You were the only one with decent videos of Splawn amps in those vids. Convinced. Most of my gear is bought from watching you. Dude, well, again, man, I'm glad that the videos help. I really do hope that they kind of, I try to paint the most accurate picture that I possibly can of the gear. That's why I record it with an SM57 through a V30. It's the most common recording method, and most people know what that sounds like at this point. So that's why I try to do that the way that I do, so that you guys can just kind of basically hear the amp and try to take the other stuff out of the equation when you're trying to figure out how something sounds. So I'm glad that works. I'm really glad that people get something out of that, because those were the thing. I was always looking for videos of amps that I was researching on my end when I was really starting to get into gear and really trying to figure out what my sound was and what certain amps sounded like. And I just feel like those videos didn't exist. So that was the main reason that I wanted to start the channel in the first place, is I felt like there was a legitimate content gap when it came to that stuff. And I'm glad I did, because it changed my life in ways that I never would have imagined. So Orpheus says, not at all. You play your thing on anything you try, like you said, but some people will play according to the gear they're trying out. Okay, yeah, I figured that that wasn't what you meant, but I was like, that's exactly what I do. So I'm not putting this together. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. But the reason that I read it like that is some people do get really mad at me for only playing high gain metal riffs or high gain hardcore riffs, and everybody wants you to play their favorite riff in a video so they can hear what it would sound like if they were playing it, but that's just not reality. It's not how it works. So I try to do what I can, and if it helps, I really do. Like, I don't take that for granted. I think that's really cool. So, you caused me to buy a PRS MT15 head and cab, dude. Congrats. The PRS MT15 is an awesome little amplifier. And guess what, guys? You have been asking for a really long time since I made the video on the original MT15. You have been asking me to do the mod to upgrade it to either a 40 or 50 watt amp. I can't remember what the mod brings it to, but it brings it up to a higher wattage with the output transformer being upgraded and a few other things being done. So my boy Ian over at Sweetwater hooked me up with a really good deal on an MT15. I paid for it out of my pocket. I'm sending it to Omega Ampworks, and they are going to mod it. I am paying for that out of my pocket just so I can do that video for you guys because it was so highly requested. So I'm hoping I'll have that amp back within a month or so, and yeah, we can go ahead and finally see what it would sound like to upgrade the MT15 from a 15 watt amplifier to a 50 watt amplifier. I have a feeling I'm going to be using that amp a whole lot once I get it back. Jackdaw Audio. Man, I didn't realize you were live when I messaged you about those guitars. Oh, I wasn't yet, but I was close, man. I was close. So he just messaged me. He's got a couple of cool older LTD guitars that he was looking to get rid of, and he just asked me if it was anything I was interested in for the channel. So feel free to post what you have in here, and for people, a way for people to be able to contact you. I mean, if you can sell the guitars through the stream, that's sick. Highwind says, by the way, the Splon Nitro you sold me like 6 years ago found its way back to me recently. Still don't love it. Dude, that's so funny because the Splon Nitro was an amp that I have always wanted to love, and I just can't. Like, I always struggled with, it just seemed like that amp just had a lot of spiky frequencies. Sorry, I'm reading an old comment, and I'm trying to figure out what it applies to. But anyways, yeah, the Spawn Nitro is one that I always really wanted to love, and I just couldn't. But I've got 3 other Spawns, and they're all from the Quick Rod family, and they are all amazing amplifiers. So, I mean, that's enough for me. But yeah, sorry, the Spawn still isn't working for you 6 years later, the second time around. Airweirwolf says, hey, bro, there's a lot of hardcore bands releasing EPs and albums nowadays, even more than ever. But do you have some bands that we should check out? Straight up, dude, Missing Link, my buddy Mike, he's been an old friend for 15 years. He's the singer of Missing Link, and I missed the boat on them because, like I said, I wasn't listening to music for a few years there. I wasn't listening to anything new. Missing Link is like what I have been wishing modern hardcore bands would sound like for probably 15 years, because if you guys remember, for a while, like, it was not cool to be a heavy band. Like, hardcore bands were very skippity bop, like old school New York hardcore, which is fine. But like, I kind of grew up on heavy stuff, and I really missed heavy hardcore being a thing and like new bands coming out that had that heavier sound. Dude, Missing Link is absolutely sick. I've been actually going back to the gym lately and really enjoying that. I've been lifting for the first time in about 10 years. So, like, I've actually been really enjoying going to the gym, throwing on Missing Link, and just, like, getting in the zone. And, yeah, listen to Missing Link for sure. If I was to recommend anything, it would be that band. They are incredible. Seymour Duncan says, happy 5th anniversary, Kyle. Thank you so much, Seymour Duncan. Again, my life is so cool. I get to work with companies like Seymour Duncan. Now, A lot of people would call me a sellout, because I would say my friends at Seymour Duncan. Well, I do have friends at Seymour Duncan. I have people that I talk to over there that are awesome people, and they do take care of me. But like, I really enjoy working with those companies. I've been a Seymour Duncan player since I started playing guitar. The JB was like my first love when it came to pickups. After trying a couple guitars with EMGs and then getting an EC1000 with a JB in the bridge, I was like, dude, this is what I've been looking for. Like, this is it. So yeah, it's my honor to be able to work with companies like that. So thank you very much, whoever it is that's running this account over at Seymour Duncan. Emily, maybe. I'm not sure if you run the social media account there, but Baz on Blade says, damn, it's about time for that MT15 mod. Good stuff. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I can't always get to everything right away. I got a lot of stuff going on over here. But yeah, I mean, I try to give you the things that you ask for. It just sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get there. Punk Uncle Guitars, thank you for being here. I don't think I've ever seen you hanging around the channel before, so that's a newer one too. Highwind says, learning to dial stuff in is a skill that isn't so common anymore. With so many options being great out of the box, like plugins, etc., people just switch profiles versus spending time tuning knobs. You are so right, dude. You are so incredibly just spot on. And that's something that I've really come to find. Like, so many people are like, they'll send me, hey, I've got these 3 amps, but I can't, they're not doing what I want them to do. What amp would you recommend for this style? And then they tell me the style, and it's like, you have the exact 3 amps that I would recommend for that style. So you just need to spend a little bit more time dialing them in and tweaking them, and maybe even adjusting your play style. Like, I've told so many people, I've talked to people who are like, I can't get any amp to sound tight. And it's like, well, that's probably like your palm mute style then. The palm mutes are a huge part of that. Like, I can get pretty much any amplifier to sound tight by tightening up my palm mutes in a certain way. There's certain things that you really just need to work on as far as dialing amps in, and there's certain things that you really need to change as far as your play style in order to get what you want out of those amplifiers too. I've said this many times on the channel, the dual rectifier, what really kind of eventually sold me on the dual rectifier was changing the way that I play when I play that amplifier. If I choke up on my palm mutes a little bit more and hit the strings a little bit harder than I would on some other amps, the amp comes alive and it turns into one of my absolute favorite amps. So, yeah, just spend some time learning how to dial amps in, guys. Would you like a video, like a basic video from me on the basics of dialing in an amp for high gain tones? I feel like people have asked for that before, but I figure I'll ask you guys while I have your ear right now. Is that a video that you would like to see? Let me know in the chat here. John Brown for the super chat. Thanks, buddy. You didn't have to do that. I'm going to go buy a penis pump with that $2 or €2. That's like, I don't know. It's more than $2, but not by much. Anyways, he says, what mic are you talking into? So this is a microphone from a brand called Mayono. I actually just did a sponsor spot for this microphone. Straight up, this mic is sick. Like, this is it's an XLR dynamic microphone, right? It comes with its own stand and shock mount right out of the box, but this mic is also battery powered, and I'm looking around because it's got a little Type-C adapter too, so you can plug this directly into your phone or your tablet or your computer without having to have an interface, and you now have a desktop dynamic microphone that you can use basically like I'm using it right now. I'm actually using it as a regular USB microphone, but this thing is sick, and it's $99. Like, they sent it out to me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, if I like it, we can do a sponsor spot. I love this thing. Like, I decided to use it over my other dynamic mics for the stream today just because I thought it was such a sick microphone. So, yeah, Mayono PD200W is the model, and you can find it on Amazon for $200. So, yeah, what else do we got? Yep, there you go. Hit up Jackdaw Audio if you're interested in any of those guitars, because there's some cool guitars there. Stefan Mert says, best, or Mirt, if it's German. That's probably wrong, too. Best regards from Germany. Nikolai says, the Jupiter is the best pickup I have ever tried. Dude, the Jupiter, do you guys, hey, we got Seymour Duncan in the chat. Do you guys want to see a video on the Jupiter? Because I got to agree, dude. The Jupiter is an insane pickup, especially for tuning low. it's everything that I want a Fishman to be, except for it's passive. Like it's got all that same articulation, it's got all that top end bite and everything, but it's really clear, but it almost has a hi-fi sound to it, but it has a little bit more hair. And it's just a really good pickup for tuning low. I've got it in a Les Paul Faded that I have tuned down to drop B for my band Taste of Steel. And I've just been telling everybody, like, when they're asking me, what pickups do you suggest for like low tunings for heavy stuff? The Jupiter has been the first one that's come to mind for a lot of those. So yeah, if you guys want to see a video on the Jupiter, let me know. We'll try to make it happen. INFMDA says, on the MT-15, for the two versions of the original MT-15, is there any difference other than the tubes being changed from the 6L6s? I believe that they, along the line somewhere, updated the effects loop, because the effects loop being noisy was one of the main complaints with that amplifier. When they changed it, I don't know. And if that's even true, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that they did change it at some point before they switched over to the V2. That's another one. If you guys want to see a video on the V2, let me know, because I am super interested in the MT-15 V2. I don't think they changed anything voicing-wise, but still, having every amplifier ever created is obviously my main purpose in life, so I got to get the second one in here, right? But for real, if you guys want to see a video, that's something. Sound off in the comments, sound off in the chat. Kevin R says, hey, popping in now in case I don't stick with the stream later. Hope you're doing well, Kyle. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for stopping in. Another old school supporter of the channel. Good to see you here, buddy. Good to see you're still following along. Gauntlet 1985 says, Kyle's always appreciated your hilarious sense of humor you add to your videos. Wondering, do you pre-plan any of your sayings, or do you just go off the cuff? Keep being you, bro. Enjoy your channel. If you guys can believe this, all of my videos are completely unscripted. Like, maybe as I'm setting up for a video, sometimes I'll do like a goofy intro. Sometimes I'll kind of outline that in my head. Like, I'll have a stupid idea and I'll be like, I should probably like take this and roll with it for the intro of a video. But it's all off the top of my head. I don't script anything. So if you guys have ever been wondering if those terrible like dad jokes that I make on the channel are something that I thought of ahead of time, they are not. They are all right off the top of my head. Okay, so we got a couple people in here saying that they would like to see the tone dialing video, so that's something I can definitely do. Yes, seeing different people's method for dialing in high gain tones is something I'm always interested in. Sick. Resington is here. He's another old school supporter. This man has a sick channel as well, especially if you're into plugins and stuff. He says, hey, Kyle, good to see a live stream. The mic is a banger. See, I'm telling you guys, it's a good microphone. Kevin says, I would 100% support an amp dialing video. It would also help to identify certain frequencies that are associated with certain words. That's something that I can do as well. The thing that's tough about that is everybody hears things differently. Even when you're describing the sound of an amplifier, the words that people use to describe that amplifier are often different. So it's one thing you got to keep in mind. I can try to put the terms that I typically use into like actual terms of frequencies so you can understand what I'm saying, but those are only really going to apply to me because everybody kind of uses those terms a little bit differently, so you never know. Highwind says the Jupiter is sick. I'd also suggest you check out the Lawler DB and instrumental SFTY4. I've never tried either of those pickup companies. I've heard great things about Lawler. The instrumental, I believe they're called like the Instrumental Pickups Company or something like that. I've been seeing them around a little bit more, but I haven't been in super gear nerd mode for quite a while. Past couple of weeks, I'm kind of starting to sink back into that a little bit. So I am going to start looking into some of the newer stuff out there because it's been a minute. Josh Van Zanton says, yo, man, I appreciate all the content. Watching and hearing you demo out all these amps and cabs help me figure out what sounds best for me. You're pretty neat, dog. Keep on rocking. Again, man, happy to help. I'm just making clips and having a good time over here for the most part, so I'm happy that people get something useful out of it. Captain Whatever says, congrats on 5 years. Cool channel. Greetings from Austria. Austria. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. Max Sourman. How you doing, Kyle? Got a stupid music question. Did you ever get to see No Retreat growing up at the PA hardcore scene? Were you into them at all? I loved No Retreat, but unfortunately, that band had already come and gone by the time that I got into the hardcore scene. They were a mid to late 90s band, and they were only around for a couple of years. So unfortunately, never got to see No Retreat, but Diggums, he was the guitar player in that band. He was the guitar player in Built Upon Frustration, if you guys remember that band. I feel like that's one of the biggest bands to come out of this region, especially in like the terms of like beatdown. Pittsburgh hardcore, Built Upon Frustration, uh, is like goated. They are the band that I think of when I think of beatdown hardcore personally. So I never got to see either of those bands live, unfortunately, but I'm friends with Derek, with Diggums, and he's had a ton of cool bands over the years, so I've had the pleasure of at least seeing him play. Uh, yeah, I mean, dude, the channel was only a year old at that point, so. How long does it take to edit your videos on average? Too long, bro. That's why I don't post as much as I used to, because my ADHD has gotten worse as I've gotten older. And I really struggle to sit down for that long and edit videos because it is very tedious. I would say on average 4 hours minimum to edit one of my videos. Um, this job rules. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. But if you're somebody who has ADHD like myself and you have a hard time starting a task that's like a big task or something that's going to be really involved or is going to take up a lot of your day, it's hard to get started. And that's what I've always struggled with. So, especially with as busy as I've been with everything around here, getting started and setting aside a block of 4 hours to get a video edited, that has been the difficult part for me. So yeah, they take quite a while. Zach H says, happy 5th, Kyle. Love the channel and the way you do it. Let's see some videos with the different cabs you got. Yeah, man. For a while there, I was making random videos with cabs when it seemed like speakers and cabinets were, a very hot topic in the guitar world. And it was fun. But to be honest, man, it's a pain in the ass to move all the cabs around to get to certain things, especially with the way that I have everything stacked. I'm working on that. I'm working on lightening my load and getting rid of doubles and stuff that I just really don't need. But yeah, I mean, I would certainly love to make more videos on cabs. Christian Cola sent me a quad of his Carnivore speaker. I've yet to unbox them. Again, just too busy to dive into like the bigger projects at the moment, but I'm hoping I will be able to get into it soon. I'm really excited about those speakers. So I have a quad of the Carnivores. Mojo Tone sent me a bunch of stuff right when I moved into the studio, and I'm still fully planning on checking out a bunch of the Mojo Tone speakers. Warehouse Guitar Speakers sent me a bunch of speakers. So one of my main hangups with speakers, with speaker videos in general, not necessarily cabs, but with the speakers, is what do I want my format to be with that? You know what I mean? Like, how do I want to go about that? And I have a tendency to overthink things. So that's what I've been doing with the speaker comparison type videos. I just overthink it. I get in my head, and therefore I end up not doing it because I build it into this mountain of a task when it's really not that. So what I need to do is sit down, figure out my format for it, and finally just start executing some of those videos. Hoping to be able to do that soon. I really am. I've got a lot of cool stuff here that has been sent by companies that I'm personally excited about. But again, I just kind of talk myself out of it because of those reasons. So I'm going to try to not do that. Kevin says, also, you've touched on this in the past, but how do you, in your experience, get back into playing more after not having the motivation to do so for some time? Dude, if I knew, I would be a much better guitar player, straight up. It really comes down to being inspired. What am I inspired by? Usually what inspires me, usually what makes me really excited to play again is playing shows. When my bands play shows and the shows are really good, that really inspires me to kind of start playing again, to want to start writing music and stuff. Recently, my bands have been playing a lot of shows, and sorry, weird message. Recently my bands have been playing a lot of shows, and that has motivated me to start playing. But drums, my band Represent, my straight edge hardcore band that's been around for forever, we've been playing a few shows recently. They've gone really well. My drumming has improved a lot, so that's just kind of like lit the fire for me to play even more. So as far as guitar, man, I have not really picked up a guitar to sit down and play a whole lot over the past few years, and it shows, man. I mean, I was never a good player, but my playing was better in the beginning of the channel than it is now for sure. So I really do need to sit down and start playing again. But like you said, you got to get that fire, you got to get that motivation somehow, and sometimes it's just like an X factor type of thing. You can't put your finger on when that motivation's gonna come back. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but for me, that's how it is. Captain Whatever says almost Austria is next to Germany. All right, so Captain Whatever, you're dead to me because you don't understand the reference that I made, and that's a big sign. It's a big sign. Sorry, buddy. If you didn't get the let's put another shrimp on the Barbie reference, I don't know if we can be friends. Department of Crystal Imprisonment, that's a name, says, congrats on everything. You taught me how to dial in high and low shells on my tone. I owe you at least $12 for that. $12 is more than I deserve. Thank you, my friend. Again, glad that I could help, dude. Really glad that the content has any sort of like positive impact on anybody. Kevin R says, sorry for all the questions, but did you know the guys from War of Ages and were you into them? So back when I first got into hardcore, War of Ages was called Point Zero before they were War of Ages. And they used to play a lot of hardcore shows, and then they changed their name and changed their style up a little bit. They became War of Ages, and I liked them at first. This is no shade. This is no shade at all to War of Ages. I'm just not really a metalcore guy. War of Ages is very much a metalcore band, or at least they were back then. I haven't listened to them in a long time. So like they just very quickly were just not really the thing that I was into. But like I'm happy to see their success. They still seem to be killing it as like a nationwide touring band. Their guitarist Steve works at Walmart when he's not on tour. So like I've run into Steve a whole bunch and he's always been super cool to me. Super nice dude. So he's the only person out of the band that I've ever really talked to though. I've never really known any of the other members, but a lot of my friends did that were around a little bit before I did. So I mean, they very much for a while were an integral part of the Erie hardcore scene. Max says, love Built Upon Frustration. Watcher is super dope too. Actually found them through your channel. Watcher is my homie Andrew. Andrew Ward. That's his band, and that's the singer of Built Upon Frustration. He's also in Watcher. I don't think they're doing anything anymore, which is a shame because they were a cool band. But yeah, there's lots of good stuff that comes out of Pittsburgh that has that style. So No Reason to Live is one of my favorites. Joe Bonadio, he was also a guitarist and Built Upon Frustration for what's the Book of Mourning, I think the other Built Upon record is called, which that record is awesome as well. If you like the Book of Mourning, listen to No Reason to Live because it's very similar stuff. There's also Enemy Mine from Pittsburgh, AJ's band Face Wreck. Like they got a lot of popularity there for a little bit when they were doing a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out of Pittsburgh. Dirt Styler says, happy 5th, Kyle. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. Nikolai says, have you ever tried having a sort of special musical connection? Have I ever tried it? When me and my buddy go into rehearsal together, there's a certain magic I don't get with other people. I mean, I'm always trying to form that like musical connection with people. The problem is you just don't always have chemistry with everybody. And that's a big thing of, you know, you can be an amazing musician, but if two amazing musicians get together and they don't have chemistry, you're just probably not going to get anything all that great out of it. But with that said, yeah, I've had a couple of people over the years where we really just click when it comes to like trying to write stuff together. I had this one old, like it was like, I called it Judge Meets Terror. It was an old school style, like fast, really aggressive hardcore band. And me and the drummer of that band literally wrote an entire 4-song EP in 2 days, like 2 practices. Granted, that stuff's a little easier to write, but the songs were actually really good. I was really proud of the songs, and him and I just had a really good connection when it came to writing. He knew what I wanted from certain styles of riffs, and he just was able to do it without me even having to communicate it with him. The old drummer in Bushido Code actually was like that too. And he was awesome because he would take a lot of direction from me. So in Bushido code, Derek would write a lot of the like the really cool, more metallic riffs. Honestly, the really catchy like single note stuff. I would write a lot of the thrashy stuff, but mostly I would arrange the songs. I would be like, okay, we need a transition here. Let's bring the chorus back around here. Like just arranging the songs and putting them together so it wasn't just riff salad type thing. And our drummer that we used to have was just, he would take direction so well. He was an extremely talented drummer, super in the pocket, really accurate, really fast, would still hit hard, even though he could even though he could play fast, which that's something that's really difficult to find, honestly. So we had a good connection too, the three of us putting music together. And unfortunately, he quit the band after we did one successful short tour back in 2021. And ever since then, we haven't been able to find another drummer. So it actually really bums me out because that was the coolest band I ever did by far. And can't find anybody else that we gel with like we did with the original drummers. So other John Brown says, I find planning new formats can be the most difficult aspect. Yeah, dude, it sucks. Like, it also sucks to make the same video over and over again, too. So, like, you may notice my standard amp playthrough videos, I've moved away from those a bit, and that's just because they're not as fun as they used to be because I did so many of them. So now when I have an amp that I'm excited about, it's easy to do those types of videos because I got the format down. But if I'm just kind of grabbing a random amp off the shelf and doing it kind of like I used to, it's just certain amps are just not as fun as, as other amps. So Sound Gardener says, Brolando from SoCal here. Totally appreciate you demoing those rare old school heads and cabs. Love to see more of the Yamaha T100 and Gensben's G-Flex cabs. More power to you. The Yamaha T100 or T50 amp, that's an amp head that I've been after for a while. They seem to have become even more rare in recent years because trying to find one is really difficult. I'm going to take this earbud out. They seem to be harder to come by, and when you do, people want too much for them because they are harder to come by. So it's one amp I've not yet been able to do a demo of, but I'm hoping to be able to find one of those soon. I wasn't really looking at gear for a while. Like I would always look for certain pieces of gear every morning when I would wake up. I would use my search avenues that I would normally go through to try to find stuff specifically for the channel. And I just haven't been doing that for a while. I'm trying to downsize my gear collection and not bring in more stuff until I kind of get a lot of this stuff out of here. So yeah, but anyways, that's an amplifier I definitely would love to have on the channel at some point. The Gensben's G-Flex cabs, I've played through one before. I don't personally like those cabs, but that is like a crucial older piece of gear from like the mid to late 2000s that was really popular in the metal scene because they had that big port and they were big and punchy. So I mean, again, I would love to make a video on something like that too, but now I got to find one, and they seem like they don't float around quite as much as they used to. I did, however, manage to grab a couple of Vader cabs a couple of years ago, and I still plan on doing some stuff with those. And those are cabs that they're built cool, but I don't like the Eminence Legend speakers in them, but I get why the death metal guys do. But anyways, those are, some more cabs that I plan on doing some content on sometime here. I would love to say in the near future, but who knows if that's reality. So anyways, that's that. Troy Frank says, it's hard to believe it's been 5 years already. Congrats, dude. You've come a long way from shooting videos on your lunch break. It's funny that you still remember that, but yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, when I started my YouTube channel, I was posting like 5 videos a week. Like I was going hard because I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And I found very quickly that it was something that I wanted to do as a career because I did enjoy it so much. So yeah, anyways, hit the like button, guys. Come on, I got to tell you that YouTuber stuff. We got 44 people. We did have 50. We only got 34 likes. If you guys like this video, the amp gods will smile down upon me. But in reality, it just means that more people will see this and we'll get some more questions and stuff going in here. But anyways, yeah, I used to film my videos on my lunch break. What I would do is the night before I would go to work, I would set up everything for the video for the next day so that when I would wake up in the morning, I could edit the previous video that I shot in the morning and post it before I would go to work. I would drive to work. I would come home. I had an hour unpaid lunch break. I would shoot my video on that unpaid lunch break. I would come home. I would get all of the data off the SD and the memory cards from the cameras for the video, and I would edit the audio. So it was, the guitar wasn't coming through my voice microphone because you have to edit that out in every video. That's another process. And then I would set up for the next video and I would do it all over again the next day. So, I mean, it was a process and I just really, really enjoyed doing it. So I went really, really hard on it for those first 6 months when I was forming the channel. Captain Whatever said, oh, he had to Google it. Yeah. The German version. Oh, wow. So, okay, this dude says, Dumb and Dumber, the German version of the movie, the line is different. He says the chick says she's from Uruguay instead of Austria. That's really interesting. Things that you never think of, being American. PV Freak says, tips on selling here? I'm great at buying, gear. I'm great at buying it, but selling always sucks. Yeah, man, I'm with you, dude. Like, I get so many pieces of gear that I buy and I intend to just do what I need to do with it and then sell it, and then I have a hard time with it. But I also have a hoarder's mentality. So that's my reasoning, I guess. It's hard for me to let go of stuff because when you're a hoarder, you attach some sort of like emotional value on that piece of gear, and it makes it harder to sell. One thing I will tell you, out of the thousands of pieces of gear that I've sold, very, very few do I regret selling. So many pieces, once they're gone, I don't even think about them anymore. So try to keep that in mind when you're about to post something. You may think, oh, I'm going to miss this piece of gear. I'm going to regret selling this so much. And you're probably not. That's the truth. Airweirwolf says, have you tried the Eminence Carnivore speaker yet? No, I did just talk about that a couple minutes ago here on the stream, though. Eminence and Christian sent me a quad of them. They're still in the box. I just got to get around to installing them so that I can actually make that video. Jay Schill says, I've been hunting for my first amp that isn't a practice amp, and your channel is helping me so much narrow down my choices. Thanks. Awesome, dude. That is exactly why I started the channel in the first place, is so I could do that. I really wanted the channel to basically be a place where people could come exactly for that reason, to be like, oh, there's a PV Ultra 120 for sale locally. Let's see if I can find some sort of consistent demo of the amplifier. And then you find my channel and you find that there's a bunch of very similar videos for a bunch of different amps. So that's kind of how I had envisioned the channel in the first place. So even though it has changed and morphed quite a bit over the years, I'm actually really happy to hear that. That makes me happy to know that it's serving the purpose I set out. Joseph Hatfield said, do you still want to try a Wizard Modern Classic 2? Of course, man. I want to try every high-gain amplifier. Like, I'm still very interested in checking out anything I can get my hands on. It just really comes down to, is it going to make sense from a financial standpoint? Shut up. For me to purchase it in order to make the video. I also don't like borrowing amplifiers when people have to ship them to me, because the shipping costs to and from, especially now, can be very expensive. So I just really don't like paying out of pocket to make videos if I can help it. I'll just wait for the opportunity to either get a good deal on something so I don't lose, or wait until a company wants to send me something. So that's kind of how I've operated, honestly, for the past couple of years. It's working out well. I mean, I've got more stuff to demo or to do videos on than I can keep up with. So that's how I operate now. But I'm always interested in checking out amplifiers. Got to wipe my spit off the microphone. But I have that MC2 clone that my buddy Ryan Aleph built, and that thing's a monster. So, I mean, I imagine, everybody says that the clones of these amplifiers don't do them justice. The internet is undefeated when it comes to bullshit like that. But still, I would like to verify that for myself, whether the real deal is that much better than the clone that I have. James3113 says, I always found your older videos the best, especially when you were playing older discontinued amps or cabs. Death metal, Devin's channel is cool for that too. I mean, I still do that stuff, man. So if you don't like the newer videos as much, sorry. I mean, the only thing that I've really changed in the newer ones is that my on-camera presence is, I think it's better. Some people may not like it as much because more of my personality comes out, but that's me being me. So, um, yeah, my newer playthrough videos are really not any different from the old ones for the most part. But if there is there a particular reason you like the older videos better? Because again, I still do that stuff, so it's not like those types of videos don't get made anymore. Tim Stalker says, "Thanks for 5 amazing years, Kyle. I jumped on pretty quick back then and have not regretted it." Yeah, dude, I appreciate you sticking around, man. It's been a fun ride for sure. Learned a lot of things about myself. Some of them not good, but I'm working on them. But in reality, man, it's been an amazing journey for sure. Vince Lupone says, "Congrats on 5 years. I remember seeing them play the Badlander right when I got mine and thought you did a great job. Been watching ever since. Keep up the videos and keep having fun with it." Thank you, my friend. I mean, frankly, the Badlander. I have said the Badlander is the video that launched my channel because I bought one when they were up for pre-order, right when I started the channel, right when they were announced, and I'm like, you know what? If I put out a good video on this amplifier, I bet you it'll bring a lot of attention to the channel. And it did. It worked exactly like I thought it would. Still love the Badlander. I still have my Badlander 100 with the Mr. Scary Lynch mod in it in the other room. Speaking of that, Legendary Tones has the Caswell mod coming out very soon. I believe he's supposed to be sending me one this week for a video. So Legendary Tones has a new mod coming out, and I'm very excited for it because I've said this many times on the channel, but the hot mod is the best new piece of gear that's come out in a long time because you can add it to so many different amplifiers. You can add gain, you can add headroom, but you don't change the voicing of the amplifier. So many people hate having to put pedals in front of amps. You know, they have this like fundamental weird thing about it. Fair enough. If you don't like it, okay. But if you want more gain and more low end out of an amplifier without having to change, without having to put any pedals in front of it or put anything in the loop, man, Mr. Scary or the Hot Mod Evo, that's the way to go, dude. Seriously. I'm going to go grab some water real quick because my throat's getting dry. I'll be right back. Feel like an old man. One second. All right. Also got to get one of these one-shot voice drops. So this company, One Shot, they work with Matt Heafy a lot. And these voice drops are kind of meant for vocalists to help soothe their voice and stuff. I find that when I do a lot of talking, especially on the channel, because I don't talk that much in real life, my voice starts to get really sore and stuff. And also, excuse me, I spent an hour yesterday recording vocals for a Hatebreed cover that I did, which follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you guys want to see some stuff like that. I'm going to start doing more full band covers. So I recorded the bass, I recorded the guitars, I recorded the drums, and I recorded the vocals, but kind of feeling it right now. So I'm going to take one of these bad boys. I'm a sellout. What can I say? They didn't pay me anything for this. But they do actually really help. So that's why I wanted to shout them out. I do vocals in a hardcore band that I wrote a lot of music for. We played a show recently, and these helped with my voice when I was trying to get back into shape in order to do that again. So, all right. Chris said, any more rig breakdowns coming? Dude, I would love to do some more. Actually, there's a huge hardcore show coming up January 17th in Pittsburgh. Haywire, Missing Link, Mind Force. I love Haywire, or I love Missing Link. I love Mind Force. Haywire is huge right now. There's a couple other really cool bands on the bill. So if you guys want to see some rig breakdowns, some hardcore rig breakdowns, please let me know. I would love to do more stuff like that. The bands have to be willing. I've told this story a bunch of times. there was a band that agreed to do one of these, and they played at a venue in Pittsburgh, 2 hour and 20-minute drive. It's actually New Kensington. It's Preserving Hardcore and Record Shop, the shop that my buddy AJ proprieted. But anyways, they have tons of shows there. That's where this show coming up is going to be. And I hit them up prior to the show, and I'm like, hey, do you guys want to do like a rig breakdown type video? I sent them some links to some of the ones that I had done before. They're like, yeah, this seems really, really cool. Let's do it. So we were talking all week. I'm like, hey, I'm going to show up a little later. Once your band set is over, we'll do the thing afterwards. And he's like, okay, cool. AJ told me we could use a certain room in the basement to do it. So like I packed all my camera gear, I packed my stuff up, I drove down. The band played. After their set, I found the singer and I was like, hey, when you want to do this thing, I'm ready whenever. He says, okay, let me find the guys. Half hour goes by and I couldn't find them. So I managed to track him down and I was like, hey, we still doing this? And he's like, oh, sorry, the guys put all their gear away already. I'm like, oh, okay. So can we break it back out? And he's like, no, we packed it away. Sorry. Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me drive 2.5 hours one way to blow me off. So that put a real bad taste in my mouth. And ever since then, I've just been like, I'm not going to drive out of my way to do these things. Madball was cool enough to do one with me when they played in Erie. And that one was a lot of fun. Mike, the guitarist of Madball, was he's seriously like the coolest dude. We still keep in touch. Super cool guy. Very gracious. Brendan, who was playing bass for them on that run, he's not their permanent bassist, but he fills in for them every now and then. He's been an old friend of mine from his time in Borrowed Time. My bands have played with their band before, so like that was really fun. It's a really fun episode for me to do. But I really don't want to commit to driving out of town to do these things anymore when, if people blow me off. That shit really sucked. Kevin, thanks for the super chat, my friend. He says, never sent one of these, but I finally did it. I'll ask a question, too. If you were given the chance to make significant changes to the 5150 6505, what changes would you make? All right. 2 changes. I would want a little bit more clarity. No, 3 changes. Sorry, 3 changes. A little bit more clarity because they're not the clearest amps. They're not muddy, but they don't really have a lot of string separation and stuff, and that's what I really like, especially when I start tuning down. I like a lot of string separation in my tone. That way you can actually hear what's being played. But it's really hard to get good string separation and still have a thick tone. So there is kind of something to that. That would be one thing. I would like to... I love the Cocteau. I love the Cocteau thing that the 5150 does. But I would like to make the mids a little bit sharper on it. Like a little bit more Marshall-esque. Not crazy, but just enough that it has a little bit more bite to it in the upper mids. And then third, from now on, every amplifier that I play, I want it to have the low end that Wizard Modern Classic 2 clone I have has. Because that has the punchiest low end I've ever heard. Palm mutes are so percussive on that thing. And the 5150 has a really cool clankiness to it. And it does definitely get punchy, especially if you dial up the low and you hit it with a boost. But there's something on the resonance that once you get past 6, the low end kind of starts to become a little bit floppy. And you can tame that using certain pedals or, again, tightening up with your right hand and stuff. But there's really no way, no matter what you do, to make it punch the same way that Modern Classic 2 clone does. So I would kind of like a little bit more of that in the low end. So those would be my changes to the 5150. But if I had to play a stock 5150 for the rest of my life, I would be more than happy because those amps are incredible. So PV Freak says, what Chris said, more rig rundown would be super sick, especially with you doing shows at your new spot. Yeah, man, I'd like to do some more. I just hosted a show here Sunday. This band, Supreme Mystic, played. Mike, who was in Cold as Life, he played in Terror for a bit. He played in Sworn Enemy. He did a bunch of bands. I mean, this dude's like he played in Cro-Mags for a while. Just a hardcore legend type dude. But anyways, that's his new band, and he sings and plays bass for them, and they were super cool. So they came and played my spot It was a great show. But yeah, that thing stuck in my cheek. Are those voice drops flavored? Yeah, they're flavored, and unfortunately, they do have a little bit of sugar in them. 3 grams of sugar in 2 pieces, so that's why I try not to take too many of them. But anyways, yeah, they do help soothe your throat quite a bit. Dude, Missing Link Rig Rundown would be so sick. The tone on the new EP is so sick. The hard pan chug part on the first track is peak. Dude, I know. I messaged Mike just to tell him that. I'm like, dude, your new bands, not only is the music great, but the production, that's what modern hardcore production should sound like, in my opinion. There seems to be a trend over the last 5-6 years of probably actually more than that, of bands trying to sound like death metal bands, especially in their productions. And it's huge right now. And hey, if that's what you like, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own taste. I think the Missing Link stuff blows that sound away, personally. But again, it's all a matter of taste. Barry Prosser says, yo, dude. What's up, Barry? Thanks for stopping by. Chase says, hello from Bradenton. Why does that sound like a fake place? Bradenton. Well, hi, Chase. How you doing, man? Chris Escarcega says, you think it's a gatekeeping deal with Tone, or do you find bands to be more open to sharing their rigs? I just, here's the thing with hardcore, man. As soon as a band gets a little bit of hype behind them in the hardcore scene, I've noticed that most dudes in these bands turn into fucking cool guys. Like, I've always hated it. I've noticed it so many times that when a band gets a little bit of clout, all of a sudden these dudes think that they're rock stars and they're too cool to talk to people or to do certain things. I've always thought that was so lame. And it's not everybody. Of course, it's not everybody. There's tons of cool people in these bands. And I found that it's generally younger kids too, which is not surprising, right? But anyways, that's what I think it is. I don't think that these guys care about sharing their tone tips. You know, that's no big deal. I think it's all about the aesthetic for them, and if it doesn't fit their aesthetic, they're like, nah. So I think that's what it is. Chase says, favorite Florida hardcore band. You know, I don't know. I don't like, for specific bands, I don't really follow where they're from unless they're regional. If they're up in my region, that's like important to me. But if they're not, if they're not regional, if they're not in the Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York area, I tend to not really pay attention to where they're from, so I can't really answer that. Sorry, dude. I think Know the Score was a Florida band, weren't they? They were a cool band. We'll go with that. Know the Score was pretty sick. Chaos Ridden One says, congrats on 5 years of the channel. Your content is great. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you being here. Chris says, new NFG Oneater pedal with the mid-boost switch on the 6505 Plus. I have the Sweetwater head you sold me. Love that amp. Glad you're digging it, man. And yeah, that NFG pedal is actually super sick. I think it's actually sitting behind me somewhere. That one's a keeper for me. SV says 5150 versus Mesa Mark amp. I'm going to go 5150 every time, man, but that's just because that's what I grew up playing. That's the sound that hits my ears correctly. But I ain't going to be mad about playing a Mark amplifier. I've really grown to love those Mark amplifiers over the last few years, especially once I really figured out how to dial them in. The 2C Plus reissue is awesome. I still think I've got a Mark IV shortboard that Mark Lewis sold me, and I still think that might be my favorite Mark amplifier. It's a Mark from Mark. Marcel Coochie House, Cord Chesney, says, happy 5 years. Thank you, Marcel. I appreciate you, man. Sinclair says, how are the vibes today, man? You know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good to sit here and hang out with you guys and kind of catch up with some of the people who follow my channel closely. So it's been a really long time since I've done a live stream, and it's just basically because I don't feel like I have anything to offer on the live streaming format other than answering questions, and I feel like I kind of end up getting a lot of the same questions. So try to space them out a little bit more now than I used to, but yeah, feeling good. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. What's my current favorite overdrive? I'm going to give you 2 because there are 2 that I'm really enjoying. Number 1 is the KHDK Ghoul Screamer, which that was, when I started my channel, that was my favorite overdrive at the time, and I've kind of recently rediscovered it. I love it. It's got a lot of clarity to it, which is one thing I really like about it. I guess I never really realized how cloudy the original TS9 is compared to a lot of other overdrives now that there are more on the market. But the KHDK thing does the Tube Screamer thing very well, but it just has more clarity and it has more options. So that's number one. Number two is the latest version of the Aris Effects Savage Drive. Richard sent me one of those a little while back with a couple other pedals that I'm going to be doing some videos for. And it's got a high mid, it's got a bite, it's got a low mid, and it's got a tight control on top of the gain and the volume. So like you can really, really fine tune the guitar signal going into the amplifier with that overdrive. It has more of a transparent thing to it, so it doesn't flavor the sound so much unless you really dial it to do that. But I've just found going into certain amplifiers, I love being able to plug in any guitar I want and essentially being able to shape it with that pedal the way that I want. So I would say those are my two favorites. I will tell you guys that you should definitely keep your eyes on the channel over the next couple of months, because I may or may not be working on something very, very special with one of my favorite pedal companies. And I have a feeling once you guys find out what it is and the specs and everything of it are, that you're also going to be very excited. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm not going to say more than that. Keep your eyes on the channel. I think you're going to like what's coming up. Mark, dude, I never know how to pronounce your last name, bro. Majok? Anyways, Mark, what's up, dude? Thanks for hanging out. Mark plays in a bunch of old school Pittsburgh bands and some newer ones. He currently has a band called Brickshot. So check out Brickshot. Their stuff is up on like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. But yeah, Mark's a homie. He's a fellow gear freak. So shout out to Mark. What's going on, dude? PV Freak says, not going to lie, the day's brutal 90s BDM sound in the hardcore scene got so played out so quick. It's what happens, man. Hardcore is it's unfortunately a very trendy scene. As soon as one or two bands make a sound popular, everybody jumps on that sound, and then they play it out, and then the scene kind of stagnates a little bit, and then a new band comes along that does something else, and that, the cycle starts all over again. Hardcore is very, very cyclical. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love hardcore, but it's not without its problems. Marcel just says the awesome boosted sound of the Valve State. Maybe that's in reference to the death metal sound. Could be. I don't personally love that sound, but a lot of people do. It's a very popular sound. I bought a Valve State just so I could have it for the studio in case people wanted that sound. Chaos Ridden One says, sorry if you've already answered this question. Joined the stream not too long ago. Have you seen the new Engel announcement? Are you excited? Are you serious? Engel announced something and they didn't hit me up? Engel usually contacts me for new releases, but it really depends. What is going on with my Facebook right now? There we go. Let's see what Engel's got cooking. What are they teasing? I'm going to have to hit up Jurgen if it's an amp and say, what is going on, bro? I just got a Powerball back yesterday. I had a Powerball 2 for a really long time, and I sold it. Probably about a year ago, maybe a little longer than that. And I was like, man, I kind of miss this thing. Like, that amp has a really cool voice to it. It's not an amp I would use on its own in a two-band situation just because the mids don't really cut. But the voicing of it and to use it on a record and stuff, I think that would be sick. Yeah, what is this? A new source of pure Engel tone is about to make some noise. Compact, bold, unmistakable. It looks like it's a cab. Maybe it's a combo. Maybe that's why they didn't hit me up. I'm messaging Jurgen right now, though. This dude not hitting me up for a new amplifier. What are we doing, Jurgen? All right. But I did just do the Ravager IR. And I thought that amp was really cool. I don't use lunchbox amplifiers for anything, so I tend to not keep them around for my own purposes, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that they're sick. So yeah. Angle makes some really cool sounding amps. Mark says, have you tried any Dynamo amps? I have a flight rig and it rips. Dynamo. No, I have not. I feel like that name sounds familiar, but I can't put my finger on what it would be. Typing like a boomer here. Well, Dynamo is apparently some sort of sports team. Dynamo amplification. All right, what do we got? So, oh, the flight rig's like a rack thing. Interesting. I've never even heard of this company, Mark. Somebody just drove by the studio and honked like crazy. I love it. People do that all the time, and I never know who it is, but it just makes me happy to know that people are thinking about me when they drive by. It's pretty cool. Never tried Dynamo. You guys want me to hit up Dynamo and see if we can get a Dynamo amp on the channel? Can I say Domino's? I want pizza. So let's move on. Gregory R. Is the JSX worth it for deathcore? JSX is worth it for pretty much anything, man. That amp is awesome. Don't pay more than $600 for it, but if you get it for $600 or less, dude, it's one of the best bang for buck amplifiers that you can buy. The JSX is absolutely sick. Did I check out The Devil by Taylor's Company? Dude, I have apologized to Taylor twice for this, maybe more. He sent me one, and I haven't made a video or anything for it yet. I've used it in a couple videos, but it didn't get like screen time or anything. I need to. It is a sick overdrive. Definitely aimed at players who want to tune down super low. For the E standard thing, I don't like it at all. Sorry, Taylor. I love you, bro. But it really, really adds upper mid aggression and cuts a lot of lows. So it's really good if you're tuning down and you want articulation and cut and stuff. But for me, in E standard, it didn't work that great. But as soon as I was doing like drop C, drop B, C standard, I really ended up liking it, especially on something like a rectifier. It worked really well there. So you will see it at some point. PV Freak said, would love to see you check out the Heretic Effects Bone Remover. A lot of really sick dudes with really sick tones are using it. Heretic Effects Boner Remover. Oh, no. I actually... I typed boner. Whoops. Heretic Effects Bone Remover. Advanced Overdrive Unit. Okay. Maybe I'll hit them up. I'm not familiar with this company, but I'll hit them up. You know what? Two companies I want to shout out real quick. Spooky Vibes, right? Oh, no, I just panicked. Is that right? Yes, that's right. They sent me an overdrive that is sick. It's kind of what I wanted a precision drive to be. The Night Terror. Yeah, the Night Terror. Spooky Vibes Night Terror. They sent me one of those a little while back. I've used it in a couple videos. Again, no dedicated video, just because pedal videos don't do very good these days. And it's a lot of work to dump into a video for it to not perform. So I try to just work things in to make it make sense. Spooky Vibes Night Terror sick. This company, Vic Audio, sent me a pedal. He calls it the Merciless Drive. He's from Ukraine. I believe he does all this stuff himself. And it's like an OD808X with a little bit of a tweak. It's very hot, very aggressive, really cool sounding pedals. So check out those pedals. Those are really cool. But I'll hit up Heretic Effects to see if they want to work together, because that pedal looks cool. Desert Island Bridge Pickup. Boring answer. Probably a Duncan JB, man. I love the JB. If I have the right overdrive and the right guitar, I can make a JB do anything I need it to do. So, Duncan JB. Favorite Slayer album, Seasons in the Abyss. That is my favorite Slayer record. Powerball 2 is dope. Creed versus Nickelback. I'll say Nickelback just because Nickelback has better productions. I'm not a fan of either band. But Nickelback's production is great. And also, I found out recently that Mark Tremonti doesn't like me because he didn't like my video that I did on his signature amp. So, sorry, dude. But yeah, that does not factor into the equation. Neither of those bands are just my style. So, but they're very, very much more popular than any of my bands will ever be. So I don't think that they need my vote. NB says, that's awesome about the Void drops. Heading out. New sub. I've seen your videos periodically for years. The intro to your Invecta 112 video got me to instant sub. Hilarious. Awesome. Thank you, man. Glad you appreciate the humor. Barry says, are you able to share anything about your post about that black Balaguer guitar? I don't know anything about a black Balaguer guitar. I just posted a picture of something that looks cool. Yeah. Has nothing to do with Black Friday this year or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know what you're talking about that's coming out on Black Friday that I'll have a video for. What cool stuff are you bringing to the gear swap on Sunday? I'm thinking about coming out. Ton of stuff, man. Too much stuff to mention. They gave me 2 8-foot tables. My buddy Jason Howell, he's got a Bronco. We're going to basically fill that thing up with as much stuff as we can bring. And it'll probably be mostly amps, a few guitars. I'll bring some pedals and stuff like that too. But yeah, I'm going to try to bring a bunch of really cool amps and see if we can't get a couple things sold. I think I'm going to bring my Red 7 amp Central, either that or the 2 Notes Reload 2. And that way I'll bring a pair of headphones and people can kind of jam through some stuff if they want to check it out for themselves. But yeah, I forgot. The whole reason that I wanted to do this thing in the first place was to announce there's a Midwest Gear Swap me on Sunday. This Sunday in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, which is like just south of Cleveland. It's a big gear swap thing. It's going on from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be setting up as a seller. Again, I've got 2 8-foot tables. I'm going to try to pack it out with as much gear as I can fit into a vehicle. So it'll be stuff that I have for sale, but I'll also just be there hanging out, talking to people, and shooting the shit, hanging out, talking to you guys, talking to other people about gear. So if you're anywhere near Cuyahoga Falls on Sunday between 10 and 4 p.m., I'll be there. I'll be there hanging out. Just come take a look at the gear that other people are selling. Come say hi if you like. Come talk shit to my face, like I said in the forum that I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. Just come on out. It'll be a fun time, I promise. Have I ever played through a Celestion Redback? Yes. I have a bunch of videos where I talk about the Redback, actually. The Redback is a really great speaker for pairing with a V30 for high gain stuff. I don't like it on its own because it's extremely dark. But if you pair a Redback with a V30, it really evens it out, adds some low end, adds some fullness. If you've got an amp that's inherently too bright through 16-ohm V30s, try adding a Redback to the combo, and it'll darken it up kind of nicely. Masiek Zaremba. By the way, hit the like button, guys. Hit the like. We got 53 viewers in here. 53. Honestly, that's not too bad considering that I'm just sitting here talking. So thank you guys for hanging out. But yeah, hit that like button. Let's get this in front of more people, please. Andre Korneev gave a $20 super chat. Thank you, my friend. He says, have a nice weekend. Cool, man. I'm going to go buy myself a new butt plug with that $20, so thank you. Masiek Zaremba, what, based on your experience, matters the most to get distorted metal sound, but with kind of clear string separation? Overdrive, man. The overdrive can add more clarity than pretty much anything. Certain pickups have a lot of clarity to them, so I will say pickups do matter. Sorry, Glenn. Pickups matter. But overdrives can go a long way in adding clarity to your tone, especially if you choose the right one, especially if you dial it in the right way. So yeah, I've always been a huge proponent of overdrives in front of high gain amplifiers, not to add gain, but to refine the sound a little bit. Andre says, I hope all is well on your side. Thank you, my friend. It's good, man. I'm currently house hunting, which is a pain. It's not a lot of fun. But once that is over, I'm going to be sitting real nice. So Dylan says, hey, Kyle, I'm looking to get an EVH 5153 LBX-S. What's your personal in-person experience with it? It's a cool amp, man. Those LBX amps are not loud enough to play in a band setting. If you have a loud drummer, you could probably get away with it if you play with a wimpy drummer. But if you play in a band with a wimpy drummer, find a new drummer. But for real, like, I don't love the voicing of the Stealth LBX versus the standard one. The first one that came out, I still think is the best sounding one to this day because you get the blue and the red channels, and they sound really good. So I always tell people to go for that one if they're going for the LBX series. So yeah, but I mean, the Stealth it's not bad by any means. I just don't like it quite as much as the other ones. That's all. Chris Fuck. Every time I try to pronounce your name, I start stumbling. Escarcega says hardcore Mount Rushmore. For me, my hardcore Mount Rushmore, very top. Hatebreed, no questions. Hatebreed, especially Satisfaction and Desire. Satisfaction is the death of desire. That is the hardcore record. Like, that is the one that should be held above all others as the blueprint to modern hardcore. Terror would be my other main band that's up at the top. How many are there? There's 4. Yeah, there's 4. So Hatebreed, Terror, Madball. Madball would be number 3, and 100 Demons. That's my Mount Rushmore of hardcore bands. Those 4 are my personal favorites. All 4 of those bands I feel like had a big influence on how hardcore has evolved over the last 25 to 30 years. So those would be the ones that I choose. Dude, I keep getting this thing stuck in the back of my cheek like an idiot. Oh my God. Get yourself a Black Diamond Custom X Pro, best Explorer I've played. I've never heard of Black Diamond. I'll have to check them out. Night Terror is awesome. It's one of my favorites. See? I'm not talking out of my ass. The Night Terror is actually sick. Very, very similar to the Precision Drive, but it doesn't have that modern mid like wonkiness that the Precision Drive does, which, I mean, let's face it, that drive was basically built with Misha Mansour's tone and playing in mind. A lot of those modern metal tones have that like real prominent upper mid frequency that's kind of quacky. I've just never personally been a fan of that, but it's huge in that scene for a reason. It sounds good in that music for the percussive type of stuff that they play. So the Night Terror for me, I've always liked better just because it's kind of more, you can voice it more like a regular like TS9 SD1 style overdrive. So that's why I like the Night Terror a lot. Where did I leave off here? Kahlo says, hey, Kyle, what is your opinion on budget guitar wireless kits like Moore as compared to expensive ones like Shure? I've never used too many because for the longest time, I didn't care about wireless. I didn't care about having a cable connected. Never bothered me. But in recent years, I've started to find it is annoying because most of my higher quality cables, they get tangled on stage easily because of the material that they use to cover them. So I have kind of started to get annoyed. I just don't have a lot of experience with those units. But X5, they're one of those companies that makes the more affordable ones. Well, they just came out with that P58 one, their wireless unit that's like a tuner pedal and the transmitter in one. So it's not 2 of the identical transmitters, just that are basically 1/4-inch jacks like a lot of the cheaper ones are. That one's like $250. I gotta say, I think it's worth it, man. It's called P58 because it's on a 5.8 wireless frequency, which means that you're not going to interfere with all the stuff around you, because mostly the other ones do the 2.4, and 2.4, all the Wi-Fi and all sorts of stuff uses that 2.4 wireless frequency, so you tend to get a lot of interference and stuff. So the fact that it has a nice tuner on it, a very bright strobing style tuner, and it uses that frequency that nothing else uses. I've had nothing but good luck with it. I'm going to probably have a video for that sometime in the next week or 2. They sent me a couple of them, and I like it. So, yeah, that would be my suggestion. That's $250. It's not as cheap as some of the cheaper ones, but, I think it's worth it because of that frequency deal alone. Oh, my God. Bet you didn't think you were tuning in to watch me struggle with a voice drop. Kevin says, hey, Kyle, I hope you're doing well. What is your take on the Friedman Runt 50? For the longest time, the Runt 50 was my favorite Friedman. And that's because most Friedmans are very refined sounding. They're very smooth. They're very polished. They're very studio ready. The Runt 50 was just a nice, raw Marshall tone. Not a ton of gain, not a ton of low end, but that's why I made the video sticking the hot mod into the Runt 50. It just turns it into the amplifier that I wanted the Runt 50 to be from the start, giving it that extra gain, that extra headroom, giving it more, bigger, punchier low end. I love the Runt. I mean, not until I got my BE Deluxe over here and the JEL 50. Did I really find a Friedman amp that I like totally gelled with that I really, really liked? Except for the Runt. The Runt was kind of my go-to. So I think it's a great amplifier, and you can have it sometimes as cheap as $1,100-$1,200 if you look real hard. Not gonna beat that. Where do we thought? Any thoughts on a Duncan Custom pickup? I love the Duncan Custom. Duncan Custom's a very hot PAF style pickup. You can get it with multiple different magnets in it. I tend to like the SH14, which is the one that has the Alnico 5 magnet in it, just because I like Alnico 5 magnets the most. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Duncan Custom. Jake says, happy 5-year anniversary, dude. In your opinion, what's the one amp head you can just plug into and turn on and almost immediately get a sick, brutal tone? I mean, typically I would say like a 5153 Stealth 100 watt, just because the red channel is so easy to plug into. I feel like there are a couple of other amps that I've played recently where I plugged straight in and I was like, dude, but I don't remember what they are offhand. So one of them was, I believe, the Lick Lighter, XD 100 or 120. That was a really sick amp to plug straight into. Super tight. You can really kind of control the tightness and the gain with some of the controls and kind of like fine tune it. So I personally tend to stay away from amps like that. I want to be able to shape my tone with an overdrive. I want that. I don't want that to be taken away from me, or I don't want, certain angle amps. I love angle stuff, but certain angle amps just don't react well to an overdrive because they're already super compressed. So I personally, I want to be able to shape the tone with an overdrive or with an EQ pedal to basically be able to fine tune it. That's just what I do. So that's my personal opinion. You didn't ask for it though. Barry Prosser says, looking forward to more drumming videos. Thank you, Barry. I appreciate that, man. I love playing drums. Always have. In fact, I kind of like it better than playing guitar. Sorry, guys. But drum content is very different on YouTube. There's not a lot of drum gear reviewers. In fact, there aren't really any. So can't do videos like that quite as much. There's just not as much of a market for it. But obviously, I still love guitar tones and playing guitar and gear and stuff like that. Andre says, 5 years. That's awesome. Many more years to you, brother. You are doing great. Always very informative, and I appreciate it very much. Dude, I appreciate you. I appreciate you stopping in. You always are stopping in the live chats and just saying good things. So I appreciate you, man. I need more people to butter my buns like you do. No, but for real, I appreciate the support. I'm glad that you dig the channel. And thanks for the super chat. You're always dropping super chats. So you don't have to do that, man, but I do appreciate it. Oh, no. We had technical difficulties. That was really weird. The page died. Can you guys still hear me? Type 69 in the chat if everything's okay now. SK Can says, sup, Kyle? Looks like you still got some gear in the background, which is good to see. What studio monitors do you recommend for metal? I'm not the guy to ask for studio monitors. I don't have a lot of experience with them. I am using... I'll show you my studio desk here. So this is my studio desk. So I'm simply just using the JBL 308P, I believe, Mark IIs. They're a pretty standard monitor. I like them, but again, I'm not really the guy to ask on monitors because I'm definitely not an authority on that stuff. I don't know who you could ask. Phil, do you know Phil Pluscoda? If you know him on Facebook, I'm blanking on the name of his studio right now, but he posts all the time online. He would be somebody much better suited to answer that question, man. Sorry. I've just kind of found that most professionals say pick a pair of monitors and learn how they sound and work off those for a long time. So that's what I do. I use these JBLs. I bought these like 7 years ago and been using them ever since. CJ says, I just bought an EVH 350 watt, looking for a good budget 412 cab, around $500 to pair with it. Dude, for $500, go on Guitar Center's used site. You're going to find all sorts of great stuff for $500 or less. Cabs that are in that price range that you can find used. Some of the PV6505 cabs have V30s in them if you want V30s, but they also have their own. I'm going to get some flack for this, but it's because you don't know what you're talking about if you want to give me a hard time. There's a certain 6505 speaker that came in some of those cabs. They have a chrome basket and they have a black label that's on the side of the basket that tells you like the model number and the ohm rating and stuff. Those are incredible speakers. Sheffield did an amazing job, or PV, whoever, did a great job with that particular speaker. The only problem is it's kind of hard to find somebody selling those cabs that would actually know what they're talking about in order to let you know if it has that speaker in it or not. But anyways, in general, the 5150 6505 cabinets themselves are built identical to Eddie Van Halen's old Marshall cabs, down to the screw placement. So the cabs themselves are great. But the speakers in them can vary. So, there's a bunch that you can find for under $500. Egnator, their Tourmaster cab, it's kind of ugly, but the cab itself is built like a tank. Has V30s. You can get a Crate Blue Voodoo cab for under $500 that has V30s built like a tank. Some old Ampeg cabs, V30s, built extremely well. So I would say try to do some research on some older cabs that are good, because you can generally find older cabs in the used section of Guitar Center's website for very cheap, and a lot of the times, some of those good ones have V30s in it. Steve Cassidy, happy 5th birth anniversary. That was really hard for me to read. Thank you, Steve. Steve's got an excellent guitar channel as well. He is one of the creators that hangs out in our YouTuber group chat online that's always adding really cool stuff to the chat. Makes really cool content. So check out Steve's channel. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by. I feel like I missed some stuff. If I missed your question, I apologize. Jake says, I appreciate your thoughts. I really like Engel for the specific reason. Just immediate flames of hell. But I get what you're saying 100%. Jake's Urungus. What's up, dude? He says, congrats. Well-deserved. And always stoked to see you killing it. I appreciate you, man. You got to shoot me a message in a little bit and let me know how things are going at the shop over there. Thank you for following up. Everything's good. 69. Chad Schneider says, what would you say are the biggest obstacles for you when doing videos for your channel? What aspects do you enjoy the most? What do you enjoy the least? I hate video editing, which sucks because that is the most time-intensive thing that I have to do. It takes up the most time. It's the most important part of what I do because if your edits suck, they're not interesting or they're too long or whatever, it's very important, which is why I haven't handed it off to anybody else yet because I almost feel bad. I feel bad like sending people a bunch of clips and saying, hey, edit this. And then I know I'm going to come back to them with all sorts of tweaks and requests and stuff like that. So it's almost been easier for me to just say, hey, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just do it myself. But as you guys can see, I haven't posted a video in over 2 weeks. So obviously I got to figure something out there. But that is definitely the hardest part. What do I enjoy the most? I just enjoy checking out pieces of gear that I like. It makes the videos easier. Like, I'll check out pretty much any piece of gear as long as it makes sense for the channel and for my audience. If it's stuff that you guys want to see, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that I'm going to love. But like I said, I try to provide a service for this channel. I try to check out things that you guys are interested in. So I do keep that in mind. But when it's a piece of gear that I'm excited about and that I really like, that just makes the video so easy. It makes it easy to sit down and just do my thing. So yeah, I would say those are probably the answers you were looking for, I hope. Walrus says, Kyle, I'm using Duncan Pegasus with my BE50. Still yet to find my BE50 doesn't have lots of gain. Think this is a problem with my amp. Probably, yeah, man, because the BE50, in my experience, had a good amount of gain on it. Especially if you put it in the HBE mode and you have the SAT switch on. You should have lots of gain in that thing. So I might check your preamp tubes. If you bought it used, it's possible somebody changed out a 12AX7 for like a 12AT7 or maybe even a 12AU7. I would hope not. But anyways, yeah. So if your BE50 doesn't have enough gain, it's probably an issue with the amp or one of the tubes or something. Matthew Worm says, congrats on 5 years. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Matt rode up here and actually saw my studio when I moved in probably, a little over a year ago now, and we took the bikes out for a ride, so that was a lot of fun. Matt's a cool guy. Nikki says, hey, Kyle, have you gotten to check out the KSR Series 1 pedal? So I actually had somebody from KSR hit me up and ask me to do a demo video for that pedal. And I said, yeah, sure. And we discussed my rate, and he was supposed to check with somebody, and then I never heard back from him. So if you guys still want to do that video, I'm definitely still down to check it out. The original series pedal was the pedal that kind of made me realize, like, oh my God, preamp pedals are actually good now. So I'd be more than happy to check that pedal out for sure. Moist Tellett says, have you ever tried a Fender M80? I have not. He says he was recently blown away by how good it sounds with an EQ in the loop, considering it's a solid state, and was $100. Nice, dude. Yeah, those finds are always really fun, man. And I bet you there's a lot of them out there that so many people don't know about. But I've never personally tried one. Ancient Alien says, really no need to buy crazy expensive monitors anymore since we have good room correction at a budget price. That's a good point. Again, I can't back that up because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to monitors, but I would imagine that a lot of people probably feel that way. So Ian Dugan says, because of you, I learned about the wonderful world of EQ and overdrive pedals. I'm a new guitar player, and I was able to achieve my dream skate punk tone. Thank you, dude. Happy to help. Happy to provide that service once again, man. It makes hearing that stuff just makes it worth it when on the days where I'm like, I don't know if I feel like doing this, or I don't feel like editing videos. It's good to hear that stuff for sure. So I'm glad I was able to help you. SV says, what's more annoying, a Fractal Forum member, a Tool fan, or a moderator of the gear page? I'll be 100% honest, man. I don't deal with any of those people, so I don't know. I've heard that they can all be kind of insufferable, though, so that's probably a good question. Travis says, I grew up playing an Ultra 60, but sold it thinking it wasn't good enough as it was old, and I got it when I was a kid. I have tone chased for the last 7 years. Tried a JSX for cheap. It answered all my tone search needs for now. You know what's funny? I just got an Ultra Teal Stripe Ultra 120, and I already have one, but I got another one in just because I found a great deal on it, and I plugged it in, and I was testing it, making sure everything was working good today. God, those amps are so good. Especially that's an amp that you can plug straight into and need no pedals and can totally rip. So, yeah, I'm gonna be selling that thing. PV Ultra 120. It's got the elusive foot switch. The foot switch is always hard to come by with those old Teal Stripe amplifiers. It's in good shape. 120 bucks. Yeah, right. Deal of the century. $550. PV Teal Stripe Ultra 120 if you guys are interested in. Steve Cassidy says, thank you for the shout out. You are welcome, my friend. Keep making the good content. I appreciate you stopping by. Travis says, I put my new JP2C up for sale as since getting the JSX. It's not getting played at all. Hey, man, when you find that amp and you know it's that amp, that's a great feeling. And especially when it's an amp that's as affordable as the JSX. So I feel you, man. If you found that amp and that's the amp for you, by all means, get it. Dylan says, one more question. Would the PV Invective MH be more worth it than the 50? I think so, yes. I actually do think. I really like the PV Invective MH. Shout out John Fields. He sent me one a while back. I think the PV MH is a really good total package amplifier, and the tones that are in the amp without having to plug in any additional pedals or anything, I think the Invective MH is the best of the 5150 style lunchbox amps, personally. Plus, you get more, depending on where you buy it, for less. I think new, they're what, $700? So they're about the same price as the LBXs were. But yeah, I like that amp. Chris Slaventa says, what is your favorite high gain amp? By the way, your channel rules. Thank you very much, my friend. If I have to choose one, it's going to be a 5150, man. If I have to choose one particular 5150, it's going to be a 5152. I've always loved that amplifier. I love the additional mids. I love the slightly tighter low end of the two. But yeah, any of the 5150 series amplifiers for me will do. I love them all. James Brown is the man. He knows what he's doing when he designs amplifiers. So, actually, he recently moved on to another company. I don't think he's working with EVH anymore, which is sad. So, yeah, hopefully that just means that we'll continue to get more super cool James Brown products from other companies. I kind of got the feeling he wasn't super stoked on my my EVH 15 iconic amp review or playthrough, because it's a playthrough. It's not a review. sorry, bud. I just didn't like it as much as I like the other ones. It had a very noticeably different like texture to the gain and to the tone overall that I feel like I said in the video, I feel like it would make sense for people who are trying to get more of that classic EVH thing. Um, but yeah, it's still a cool amp. I like the mid grind of it a lot. It's certainly an amp I wouldn't be mad about playing. I found that I like the other 5150 things better. T-Stage Production says, I picked up a Mesa Stiletto Trident this week. I've always played combos, so this is new to me. Any immediate advice? Yes, get a cabinet that is going to have darker speakers in it because that Stiletto amplifier is an insanely bright amp no matter what you do to it. So you may struggle with it. If you're playing through like a vintage 30, especially that I've found that amp does not gel very well with vintage 30s. So try to get a cab that has slightly darker speakers in it. It is a cool amp though. If you can figure it out, it's a cool, Mesa Marshall hybrid type thing. Freedom Rock says, what's up, Kyle? How's it going, man? Thank you for stopping by. Ancient Alien 815. Tell Sweetwater to send you the ARC room correction setup. It's around $300 and will fix everything wrong with your room and monitors. I have the which actually Sweetwater sent me a while ago. What's the other one? The one that was popular for a really long time before the Tone X. Comes with a microphone, a little microphone. Sound Arc. Is that it? No, I think that's the Tone X one. I forget what it is, but it's a very popular room correction, speaker correction software. I just need to use it. I just haven't gotten around to using it. I really need to, especially because in my current monitor position right here, the bass is very deceiving. Like it seems like I don't have any bass. And then I'll listen to my mix on headphones or in my car, and it's like slamming me. So definitely need to get on the room correction stuff so that I can kind of get that bass thing like straightened out because that is an annoying part of my mixes. Walrus says, Kyle, I also appreciated your video about how the system wants to keep us fighting each other. Gives me some hope that younger people see this. Yeah, same, man. It's a weird and scary time to be alive. I thought that video was going to get a lot of pushback from people, and I was just kind of happy to see, I was happy to see that people mostly felt the same way, but I think that also speaks to the channel, to the audience that follows this channel. I really do feel like the audience around this channel is awesome. I appreciate you guys. Of course, I have the odd commenter where I repost because what they're saying is ridiculous or it's like so hateful. It's just like, what? But in reality, I do think I have the best audience in the YouTube guitar space. And I don't think that's by accident either. I think that has to do with how I cultivate my audience. I think that's part of it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still incredibly thankful for the type of audience that I have supporting this channel. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that video. I've got another video I filmed a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I'm going to put it out or not, but it was basically there were some people criticizing my playing and basically saying, why do you have all that guitar gear when you can barely play guitar? And the point of the video is basically just saying, hey, for some people, this hobby has different meanings. It doesn't always have to be, I picked up a guitar to be the best guitar player in the world. I picked up a guitar personally because I liked hardcore and punk rock music, and a lot of hardcore and punk rock music is very, very simple to play. So I learned what I needed to learn in order to be able to play and to write that type of music. And then that's all I learned. And that was fine with me because for the longest time, that's all I wanted to do was just write simple, heavy music that got a visceral reaction out of people. And I was able to do that. It took me around the world. It took me to Europe a couple times. It took me across the US a few times. So I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish through my guitar playing. So it was never about being the best player for me, but also on the gear front, like I also just found I really enjoyed messing around with tones and trying different things. So that's part of the hobby. For some people, that's the only part of the hobby they care about is the tone chase. Like they can play guitar just enough to really figure out how to play certain amps and find that tone. That's fine too. Like why people have such a problem with what other people's priorities are, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like straight up, it just doesn't make sense. So that's another video that I have that's kind of like addressing the audience and just basically telling people to like put yourself in other people's shoes because I feel like that's a problem in our society. Most people don't think outside of themselves and it causes a lot of problems. It causes a lot of toxicity and stuff like that. So Let me know if you guys want to see that video. How many times am I going to get to say that in this video? Chris Slaventa says, are you selling any Red 7 or Mezza Barba? I actually am selling a Red 7 Duality 100. I've got it up for $2,000. It's extremely clean, really cool amplifier. It's just not cool enough for me to hang, or it's, yeah, I don't like it enough to hang on to it for $2,000. That's what I want to say. It's a really cool amp, really cool features, but yeah, there are other amps that I would want to spend $2,000 on first. I am going to make a video on the amp before I sell it, but if you're interested, feel free to drop a comment down here in the chat, and we can figure out a way to get a hold of each other after this, because I would like to get that amp moved. Kevin says, thanks for the info on the Runt 50. What's your opinion of the Mesa Triple Crown 50? Thanks for your time. Happy anniversary. Mesa Triple Crown 50, another really cool sounding amplifier. It's a lot like the Badlander 100 in that it's kind of a more modern take on like a older style circuit. You know what I mean? It's I love everything about it other than it just doesn't have enough low end. It doesn't have enough low end punch. So that's the only thing I have to complain about the TC50. I really like that amp. I like the voicing. Just doesn't have enough low end. Mark says, recently picked up a Dietzel Einstein. It's a pretty amazing amp. Pairs really well with the H-series creambacks. I would agree with that. The Einstein has a cool mid profile to it. A lot of Dietzel amplifiers, I don't love the mids on them, but the Einstein was one that I really do actually like the voicing of the mids, so I kind of wish I still had one. But again, I don't need to keep every amplifier that I like a little bit, so I try to keep stuff moving. But yeah, that amp would definitely pair well with the H creambacks because of the more aggressive upper mid-range of those speakers. Michael Mills says, regarding passive pickups, do you prefer covered or uncovered? Is it a look or a sound thing for you? It's 100% dependent on the guitar. I don't even care about the sound. Honestly, the differences are not enough for me to really, go too crazy over it. It's a look thing. So certain Les Pauls, I like the looks of covered pickups. Certain Les Pauls, I like the looks of uncovered pickups. It's really just depends on what aesthetic I'm going for the guitar, but kind of a fan of everything. Moist Towelette says stilettos are painfully bright. See? They are very bright amplifiers. You're going to have to fight that pretty much no matter what, but if you can figure it out, it's a cool amplifier. Ken Smock says, hey, dude, love the channel. Thank you for doing it. Thank you, Ken. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you, dude. Brandon Briganti says, convince me not to buy a USA Eclipse. Dude, I sold the red one and the purple haze one I also have for sale, and people were already giving me shit about that for selling it. I have no personal use for a guitar that expensive when I have my own money tied up into it. I know that sounds like a dickhead thing to say. Heritage have sent me a couple really expensive guitars, and I play them all the time, and I love them. But when I've got my own $3,000 into a guitar, it's a really great guitar. Setup great, intonation awesome. It's a really nice guitar, but I don't get anything else additional out of it that I get from a really good LTD, I guess. I've got a couple really, really nice LTD guitars that I love. They're both Bill Kelleher models, actually, in fact. And they do everything that I need them to do. They're the full thickness. I like the pickups in them. I don't have to change anything about them. So yeah, I mean, when I have a guitar that I paid $600 that I vibe with just as much as one that I paid $3,000 for, probably going to sell the $3,000 guitar and put that money into something else, like my 107th amp, So anyways, I convince you against buying it? No, man. I mean, if you want it, if the guitar speaks to you and you got the money for it, by all means, dude, get it. Go ahead and get it. They're sick. They are seriously super, super sick. Ancient Alien says, super simple to set up, and after you measure and upload to the ARC box, no more software to mess with or plugins to turn on or off while mixing. It's good to know, man. I'll check it out. I think IK Multimedia might be a little mad at me because they sent me some Tonex pedals like a little over a year ago that I just have not been able to do anything with yet. I am going to use them. I'm going to set my band Represent up with an entirely Tonex-based setup for a video. Just haven't had the chance to do it yet. But yeah, I've seen Tonex or IK has come out with a few products since then, and we always used to work together, and now they don't hit me up anymore. So it's my own fault. But sometimes I wish these companies would just reach out to me and say, hey, like, everything okay? You still want to work together? You got a timeline? You know, like we could easily make this thing right. But it's my fault, so it is what it is. Gatekeeping is such a low IQ move. Did we gatekeep? Did I gatekeep something? I generally don't. But yeah, I agree. I think gatekeeping is lame. I probably said something gatekeepery on accident. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks, bro. Jackdaw says people find value in the wrong things. He was talking about my video about people being mad about people playing guitar for reasons other than what they deem necessary. So yeah, I agree with that. Some of you guys are just going through and agreeing with those sentiments. Good. Again, I know I got a great audience here. You guys are just proving it over and over again. Yeah, this stream is going much longer than I thought it would. But you guys keep throwing me cool questions, so we'll keep it going for a little while longer. I'm gonna get to the gym soon, or else I'm gonna lose motivation. But it's been really nice catching up with you guys. I enjoyed it. So, Don from Apathy says your quad cortex captures are second to none. Sorry for the non sequitur, dude. Anytime I get a chance to work in some natural self promotion, I'm for it, bro. So thank you. Yeah. I think my quad cortex captures are good too. I think they were accidentally good because I didn't expect them to be good. And then once I started making them, I'm like, oh, wait, these actually do sound good and they're easy to make. People made it seem like quad cortex and Kemper profiles are hard to make, and they're not. They're very, very easy to make. You just dial in the amp the way that you want it to sound, and then you hit capture. So I don't know why so many people have a hard time making captures or find it difficult. I know a lot of people say it's really difficult to find good sounding Kemper profiles and captures, so I'm really glad that people resonate with the tones that I make for those capture packs. If you guys are interested, my capture packs are $15 a piece. I have about 12 different amplifiers that I offer right now. I actually had some dude bug out on me earlier because about a month ago when I made that post and that video saying, hey, I'm selling a bunch of gear, got to move some stuff along. I got some things going on in my life where I just would like to, be a little lighter on the gear. But if you want to also help the channel while I'm going to have some downtime, I have my quad cortex and my Kemper capture packs and stuff. So apparently he messaged me like a month ago, and because Facebook and Instagram hide my message requests now because I get so many, they just don't even show them to me anymore. Apparently that was ridiculous to him that it took me a month to respond, even though he didn't say that when I finally responded and told him, hey, sorry, I didn't see this until just now. So he paid me $15 for a capture pack yesterday, and I had yet to send him a capture or yet to send him the captures. And without following up or saying anything, he just goes, this is ridiculous. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to send you your money back, dude. You have a good day because I don't need to deal with shit like this. People are funny, man. Like people, again, nobody knows how to put themselves in other people's shoes. I can be slow to respond. I can be slow to send stuff. Fair point. I get it for sure. I got a lot going on. I have extreme ADHD, which I'm trying to deal with. But just send a follow-up and be polite. Why do you have to be a dick about it? Anyways, I've got all sorts of different amplifiers that I offer capture packs for. Got the Lick Lighter, Club Secret. No, get out of there. Stop it. We got Laney. We've got a Lichlarm Prometheus, Marshall JCM 900 SLX. We got a Randall Satan, a Mark II C++, Engel Inferno. Those are microphones in my bathroom that are in the wrong album. So there you go. Get a little sneak peek into my brain. But yeah, if you guys want to purchase those Quad Cortex capture packs, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook directly, or I have the links to some of them on my Patreon account. But that stuff really does help the channel. It helps me be able to afford to keep the lights on here in the studio. The studio is very expensive for me to operate on a month-to-month basis, and I pay out of pocket for it every month. I never make all of that money back. So if you guys want to help with stuff like that, it's a good way to do it. Studio tour when? Studio tour when I get this place organized a little bit better. It was supposed to be soon. Now I have a bunch of extra stuff in here because I'm in the process of moving. So that kind of set it back even more. But I am really excited to show you guys my studio setup because I think that it's actually pretty sick. So hopefully sooner rather than later. SV says, I like the necks better on the EC1000s more than the E2 Eclipse. See, I'm the other way around. I like the chunkier necks on the E2 Eclipse, but I totally understand why a lot of people would like the EC1000 necks better. They're a little slimmer, and I find a lot of the metal dudes like the slimmer necks a little better. What would you say is the easiest amp head to play through? Not stiff, dry, etc. 5150? Yep, that's the exact answer, man. 5150 is the easiest amp to dial in and play. It just feels effortless to hit pinch harmonics and all sorts of other stuff. So I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, guys. So get your last questions. It is 4:10. I'm going to jet out of here at 4:15 so I can hit the gym and then get some stuff done around here. It's been fun hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate all the questions. Hit the like button on your way out. Please don't forget to do that. It does help. But get those final shots in here. Jackdaw says, anyone know how any 8-string guitar similar look to the LTD H series guitars but has a modern C neck shape? I'm going to leave that up for some other people because I don't play 8 strings. Chernobyl Audio. What's up, Scott? Derp. Wish I knew how to play guitar worth a damn. Wish you knew how to play guitar worth a damn, Kyle. You and me both, brother. I wish I knew how to play guitar most days, and I probably could if I sat down and practiced, but that would take me conquering my ADHD, and it's just not happened yet. Young G says the Angle 412 XXLK Eminence Carnivore cabs are going to be up for sale soon. Can you do a demo video with this cab coming up? I have a feeling this is going to be a game changer. I don't feel like it's going to be a game changer, but if you're excited about it, that's awesome. Honestly, I'm excited for Christian speakers too. I've never really found Eminence speakers to be quite what I'm looking for, but it's just because I played nothing but Celestion speakers for so long. So the voicing of Celestion speakers, that's just what's in my ear. I found Eminence are almost, they have like a hollow mid-range thing going on. They seem to have more lows and highs in the frequencies than most other speakers, and I guess the Carnivore is a lot like that. It's got a lot of extra high and low information. Christian even said that. He's like, hey, when you're recording these things, you might want to think about putting a low and high shelf on them because there's so much extra information at either end of the spectrum. So I think Engel makes great cabs. Christian's got a great ear. So I think that they'll be another great added addition to the world of metal guitar cabs and speakers. Do I think they'll be a game changer? No. I think a game changer is something that changes up the way that the way that people do things inherently. And I don't think that that's going to be the case. I could be wrong. It's not throwing shade at the cabs or the speakers because I love Christian. He's been an awesome guy to hang out with and to, help me out with some stuff. I love Engel. Engel's been a great partner with the channel, and I got an Engel cab, 2 Engel cabs sitting right behind me that I love. So no shade to those companies. I think calling it a game changer is a bit much. That's just my personal opinion. What are the main differences between the Heinatone junction drive and an OD808 TS9? Difference in the room. The Heinatone has more output, and it's a much more aggressive overdrive than either the 808 or the TS9. They're very different sounding. So the only way you'll really be able to figure it out is to try it in the room, but it's a lot hotter. It can be harder to control it sometimes because of the voicing and the extra output. But yeah. Mike Forner says, Young G. Also, I'm not sure. Do you ever check out the Marshall JVM 210H? I did a video on the 410H a while back. Not the 210H specifically, but the 210H is just half of the channels from the 410. I've never been the biggest JVM fan personally. I like the DSL and the TSL amplifiers from Marshall much, much, much more. I think the JVM is more popular with more modern players because it is very tight and very compressed. So it works better for more modern styles of music if you tune down and stuff. I've just always found them to be a bit thin and buzzy no matter how I try to dial them in. They don't take an overdrive super well because they already have so much gain and compression on tap. There are some modifications to decompress them, essentially. That's what the mods are called. There used to be a whole forum dedicated to the JVM and modding them that's since been taken down, unfortunately. But that was those mods were really, really popular, and I think I'm going to have Mike Wagner of Wagner Amp Repair here in Erie, Pennsylvania, do the decompression mods on my JVM because it's an amp that a lot of people have asked for when they've been booking studio time with me. So I picked another one up when I was able to find a good deal on it. But It's just not an amp that I personally like. So I'd like to decompress the most compressed channels and then kind of leave the other ones as is. And then that way kind of have the best of both worlds, if that makes sense. But yeah, the 210H, just half the channels of a 410H. So it's not really any different. Mike Forner says, explain the mic you were talking through. I did talk about this earlier, but this is a sponsored mic that I have in another video coming out this week. This is the Mayono PD200W. It is an XLR dynamic microphone, but it is a hybrid microphone, meaning that you can use it with an XLR interface like you would with any other dynamic mic, but it also has USB functionality. I'm using the USB functionality to record this video. It's got a headphone jack. It has a wireless receiver, and it has a built-in battery. So you can plug this thing in to your phone using the wireless Type-C receiver, and you can send the audio wirelessly to your cell phone, and it's got a battery built in. Really cool microphone. Yeah, they're $100 on Amazon right now. So $99, PD200W by Mayono. I love this mic, honestly. So yeah, they paid for a sponsored spot in another video. This is not it, and I'm telling you that I love the microphone, so you can believe me. It's a really cool mic. What's your opinion on the new Schecter Standard Plus series? I have not seen those yet. Schecter Standard Plus. Schecter. I love Schecter stuff. I really do. I love Schecter guitars. So C1 Standard Plus. Oh, is this kind of like another more affordable option? It kind of seems that way, huh? Yeah, dude, that's sick. That purple one with the roasted maple fretboard, actually pretty cool. I like that. Transparent black burst and a blue fade. I like all of those, man. Those modern finishes are really cool. Schecter's doing great stuff, dude. I really, really dig Schecter stuff, especially from like the past 5-6 years. I think they're killing it. Have fun at the gym. Big dog. Hope you do another one of these ASAP. Maybe I'll make it like a once a month thing. Also, guys, I know it's late in the podcast for this, but I have been tossing around the idea of doing some sort of podcast for like 5 years since I started the channel. I've always wanted to do a podcast. I just like talking about gear, and I like talking to people. I like meeting new people. So I'm starting to really kind of put the idea together to do a podcast again. I think I would like to do it weekly. I think I would like to call it the Gear Breakdown. Breakdown, hardcore, play on hardcore, gear, obviously. But my idea years ago was I wanted to talk to guys from hardcore bands and talk about their gear, not just what they're playing now, but their gear history, talk about how their bands got started, talk about how they started playing guitar, and what their journey through gear has been. So if you guys would like that, I have more contacts now than I had back then. So I think it would be really cool to start. So let me know if you guys want to hear that, and I'll record a little intro song and get a graphic going, but I really would like to start doing a podcast. I don't know if I should put it on my main channel or not, just because YouTube, the algorithm's so fickle and stuff like that, but it is something that I actually really do want to pursue here in the very near future. So with that being said, yeah, live stream. Hopefully I'll do another live stream soon. I do enjoy this stuff, so. Thanks, Scott. Talk to you soon. I appreciate you stopping in, bud. Hope you're doing well. Other John Brown says DSL over JVM. Totally agree. Chad Snyder says, are there any other YouTube creators you'd recommend for heavy music and gear similar to your own outside of Fricker or Cola? Yes, Draven Noir and Baritone Goat Studios. Both of those dudes do a great job, and they make great content. So I honestly recommend both of those guys. Eric Moretin does great stuff too. He kind of focuses more on like certain tones like Dimebag and stuff like that, but his content's still great. He's a killer player, and he makes fun videos. So Eric Moretin, Draven Noir, and Baritone Goat Studios. Check all of those channels out. Obviously, we've got the other John Brown. He does great stuff with speakers, but he also does amps. He's branching out a little bit more. Just did a guitar video recently. I love his content. I love his dry humor. Very much up my alley. So if you aren't subscribed to the other John Brown's channel, make sure that you do, because he is thebomb.com. Pip Priss, what's up, my dude? Pip also posts videos. He does a lot of stuff with digital captures, like the neural amp modeler and stuff like that. He walks you through a lot of that stuff. This dude's right hand is ridiculous too. He can play shit so ridiculously fast with his right hand. It's super cool to watch. He is definitely way more of a thrasher than I'll ever be. So you could check his channel out too. There's tons of good content out there these days. Is a Bogner Uberschall Mark II compressed versus a JVM? They're both compressed amps, but the JVM is definitely more compressed for sure. The Uberschall is darker overall, just by the nature of the voicing, but it doesn't get much more compressed as far as tube amps go than the Marshall JVM, straight up. Rockin' Movies with Tyler says, hey, yo, what's up, Tyler? All right, I already went past my 4:15 marker that I wanted to sign off of here, so I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thank you for hanging out. This stream was over 2 hours long. It was great catching up with you guys. I wanted to let you guys know I'm still alive. I'll have some content, some cool stuff coming out very, very soon. A couple of you saying yes to the podcast, so I'll start putting that in motion because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So yeah, really cool things on the horizon, guys. Like I said, something really cool coming up with a German pedal builder that I'll be announcing very soon, and then also Black Friday. Keep an eye on my channel. Balaguer may or may not have a really cool guitar coming out that I may or may not have had a hand in. So if you guys want to keep up with all the stuff that I'm doing, follow me on my social media accounts, Instagram and Facebook. I'm very active over there. I'm always posting about new gear, posting clips and stuff like that, and just interacting with people. So follow me there if you miss me on YouTube because I'm not posting as much. And yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you show the channel. I will be seeing you guys again very, very soon. Stay belligerent. Bye, guys.